In this session I want to explore the different types or categories of a service level agreement. In the ITIL service design publication we have 3 different types of or categories of SLA, service level agreement, defined. And one is the service-based SLA, the other is the customer-based SLA, and then we have a multi-level SLA, which is a combination of both of the previous. So let's start at the very beginning, shall we, and start with a service-based SLA. And a service-based SLA is an SLA that covers one service and all of the customers that use that service. In other words, it's an agreement where we as a service provider will agree to provide a service to you, the customer, and every single customer unit, every single business unit, every single cost center manager, whomever you have defined your customers to be, they will all sign that one service-based SLA. So we will have an SLA for email, we'll have an SLA for our email service, we will have an SLA for our CRM service. And all of the customers that use each service will sign those SLAs. So I'll have an SLA for email. It will detail the responsibilities of both parties as they do, and that SLA will be given to every single customer unit, every business unit to sign. Really straightforward. Very, very easy for service level management to actually manage. However, from a customer perspective, in a large corporation, then we have customers who are signing upwards of say 10, 20, maybe even 30 different SLAs. So that's not particularly efficient from that ITIL perspective, nor from the customer perspective either. So then what we could have then, and it's up to you as an organisation to decide which structure you want to implement within your organisation, and you could choose a mixture of all of these, by the way. So then we have a customer-based SLA, and a customer-based SLA is an SLA per customer that covers all of the services they use. So service-based SLA is one SLA per service that all customers sign. And a customer-based SLA, we flip that on its head. So it's one SLA per customer that covers all of the services that they use. Much more efficient from a customer perspective. But what that means is that, well, service level management have got to be on their toes. Because not only do we have potentially more SLAs, depending on how many customer units or business units we have, but it also means that, well, we've got more SLAs to manage with potentially differing targets for one service, but a different target in each SLA. So that in itself is a challenge from a management perspective for SLM. So then we have a multi-level SLA. And a multi-level SLA is an SLA that corporations will usually evolve towards. And it consists of 2 elements. It consists of both the corporate level SLA and the addendum or appendix or attachment. So at a corporate level, we have a service-based SLA. It can cover many services. And at the corporate level, it contains all of the elements of every service that are relevant to the whole of the corporation. That's why it's called corporate level, to the whole of the organisation. So it will contain all of the commonalities for every single service. So in other words, maybe the hours of availability for email or the hours of availability for our internet. And of course, don't forget it's an SLA, so it contains the responsibility of both parties. So it will contain phrases like, I'll give you the ability to browse the internet as long as you don't browse anything inappropriate. So the responsibilities of both parties. And then underneath the corporate level SLA, we have our addendums or our appendices or our attachments, and there will be a customer-based attachment for every single customer, every single business unit, and it will contain the specifics for each business unit. So it may, if you're charging your customers, if you're cross-charging within the organisation, it may contain the specifics where you have paid for email to be available between the hours of 6 a.m. and 2200, whereas another customer may have only paid for email to be available between the hours of 8 a.m. and 1800. So it will contain the specifics to each single customer, which is why it's customer based. It might also contain specifics to do with the storage of files and file sizes, or the sending of attachments and attachment sizes within email, for instance. So all of these specifics, the specifics that apply to just that one customer, they will be contained in each attachment, and each customer will sign their own attachment. So the corporate-based SLA, that part of the multi-level SLA, that is applicable to the whole of the organisation, but the attachments or the addendums are relevant and are only signed by each individual customer. So that, in a nutshell, is our SLA structure as defined in ITIL. And as I've already said, there is no right or wrong way to what type of SLA you should use. There are 3 different types. We have a service-based SLA, we have a customer-based SLA, and we have the multi-level SLA. Whatever you do, don't assume that that multi-level sounds complicated and therefore it's going to be a nightmare to manage, because actually it's not. And once you have that multi-level structure established, you will find that that is a very efficient and an effective way of managing your service level agreements. Of course, don't forget that agreeing on an SLA and agreeing the SLA structure is only just the first half of service level management. Just remember that as with all of our services, we have to monitor them on a regular basis, and we have to review the performance against whatever service level targets we have agreed in our service review meetings with our customers. So if you'd like to know anything more about service level agreements or anything to do with ITIL, then please feel free to catch up with me on email. The email address is now appearing at the bottom of your screen.